Morning, everybody. Welcome to another Feel Good Friday. And oh, boo-hoo, this is the last one in our 13 steps. So today we're looking at there's no need to sell if your client experience makes them want to buy. And as you can see on here, basically we've got lots of information that we're going to pass over. And the great thing about today's session, of course, it's really talking about how the photography plays its part within your business. Remember that photography is what we got into in the first place. So let's not kind of lose out on this opportunity to take great photographs. So we're going to cover things like beans on toast. We're going to cover variety in the session. We're going to talk about maximizing every shoot, preparing the client for the session, and having amazing portraits that they cannot resist. That's really what today is all about. And you know what these Feel Good Friday businesses are really trying to do is just give you one thing to change each week. So whatever one of these things resonates with you today the most, I would expect that during today, tomorrow, next week, you'll be able to actually make some changes without any real kind of issues and things really. I was at a lecture in the late 80s by an American wedding photographer, and he used an expression mainly about wedding photography, okay, but I kind of translated it into everything I did. And he said that it's the difference that makes the difference. And that one saying resonated in everything I did for the rest of my career. So always try and over deliver than under deliver, or just deliver what we feel that they need and things really. So if we take that ethos on mind, it's the difference that will make them pay more as well as force them into purchasing. When I say force, I don't mean hard selling. That's the last thing I ever encourage anybody to do in business. But what we can do is make a product so desirable that they literally cannot say no. So I use the analogy of beans on toast. Sorry, it's breakfast time, all right? However, look, we all love beans on toast. And what that means is that we do think about it, and at times we eat it. However, it tends to be something that we very rarely pay for. So if you're away on a road trip or on holiday and you're forced into somewhere for a quick breakfast or whatever it is, you might think about beans on toast and things. But usually the beans on toast is kind of more the greasy cafe, or the kind of the low-end cafe that you're expecting to kind of be delivered. Now, as photography, if we consider beans on toast is what I refer to as average photography produced in our industry for sale. Yes, specifically I'm on about studio photography here. What I'm referring to is that people will look at it and go, oh, well, that's nice, but they're going to look at it and go, well, I can do that myself, so why should I really be paying for it? And this is where the professional beans on toast is really that extra edge and the extra presentation, that extra something special that makes them want to buy and place the order as such. So as some of you will be aware, both of my sons are chefs, both high in their career. One Michelin star, one the executive chef of a Chateau Castle. And both of them wouldn't dream about serving beans on toast on the left for a breakfast. The reason being is that their breakfasts are between £15 and £25 as a minimum to start off with. So if they were to think about putting a cheaper ingredient onto a menu, they have to make it, first of all, look amazing. And they also have to talk about it in a way that makes people want to actually buy it to begin with. Because let's not forget, this is all about profit. Whether we're a chef or whether we're a photographer, we're going to take ingredients, and the way that we put them all together is going to be making the difference with people kind of paying for them or not. And you've got to remember that even when you go out for anything to eat, there are times where you go, I'm not paying for that. That's not good. So people kind of complain at the bill or whatever it is. you actually don't see that as a photographer unless the client has bought up front in the likes of a wedding, whereas then you would actually get the likes of complaints and so on. So as far as in the portrait studio is concerned, usually the photographers don't get to actually see why the client isn't buying, because they just they don't talk that they don't like the photographs unless you were to ask them specifically, which very few of us would have the kind of the courage to do in things really. But what we're really trying to do in today's session is from today make you think about the photography and make you think about how you can make it better for the clients, step by step and things really. I would say that your portfolio is your excuse to develop your brand, to develop your creativity, to develop what you perceive is going to be your business in the, the long term. That's what we're really trying to create, is a change today should affect the business long term. It's that domino effect that you've heard me refer to time and time again. So if you're putting off today to do tomorrow, all you're really doing is minimizing the changes and delaying the changes within the business as such. I think if we were looking for transition with Beans on Toast, one of the things that you will see in the UK, schools photography in the 80s and 90s and possibly the early the noughties as well, was kind of really just put a child on a seat in a school, mass kind of conveyor belt, because that's what they've got to do in a day. I could never be a schools photographer, but they were really not being allowed to be really good photographers. Then there was a couple of photographers, the independents, that went, you know what, we can make these photographs so good, we're going to increase the average of take up in the sale. And that's what we're trying to do. And these photographers then could not only satisfy themselves in the sales, in the increased sales, but they also maintained these schools coming back to them time and time again. And it also gave them opportunities to step into other schools as well, that perhaps were using the big franchisees kind of, or the big corporates who were using just it as a cash machine rather than anything else with it. So Beans on Toast is something from this morning you can change. Yeah, you can change your photography because you are in charge. It is a control of the controllables. There is absolutely no excuses for you not to actually change the way that you present your visions, your captures, your portraits, your wedding photography to the client itself. Variety in the session. I kind of know that so many photographers struggle with variety. They're kind of finished in 15 minutes and they don't know what to do with the next 45 minutes. Well, when you're trying to create an amazing experience for the client and forcing them down this almost route that they can't resist to buy, the one thing we've got to do is make sure in the sales room that every image that we present to the client is variety. It's not just a simple change in expression. So I always encourage you to just edit down to the best of the best of the best. Whereas I prefer to have 48 shots presented to a client in a viewing room, there are times where if we've only got 24 great shots of a child because they performed a little bit worse than they were, blah, blah, blah. But what we can do is then actually just show them the best of the best. And then all of a sudden, when they sit down in the viewing room and they don't see any of the unhappy faces, the kind of the upset or the kind of belligerence or whatever is going on during the session, if all they're ever faced with is the excellent photographs and the variety that you've managed to actually show in front of them, they are surprised, and once more they're more eager to spend more money than they anticipated to when they came in through. Maximizing the shoot is just not on about the pretty clients, the good looking child. It means it doesn't matter who is in front of my camera, I have to absolutely maximize the variety. And that is where preparing the kind of the shoot list will help you no matter what. Now, there's obviously a difference between photographing a guy like me who's quite big to a guy who's really skinny and good looking model like, yeah. But it's my job as the photographer to make sure the guy like me, yeah, is made to feel as special as the model is, perhaps, and things really. So maximizing that shoot, I always believe that even for a family shoot, it could feel like a fashion shoot. I don't mean quite going as out there as Austin Powers, perhaps. I'm not on about that, all right? But really what we can do is bring an energy and a fun and a variety, but still deliver expressions and animation that make the client, again, once more, be forced into that experience and variety of photographs that they can really, really enjoy and can't say no to. One of the key things I've always encouraged, not only my photographers, my team years ago in studio, but also anybody who comes across me within the likes of the Experience Group or over the Photographer Academy, is to make sure that you are fully preparing the client for the session. Now, yes, I mean dressing for success, you know, making sure they're bringing in the right variety, but understanding and preparing each client to and understanding who they are. So getting the ages of each child, understanding what they're into. So, you know, Danny's into tap dancing and he goes to theatre school, where little Jilly goes to horse riding and gymnastics. So from that, I can't get a horse in studio, but I can get a saddle and a hat and a whip. I can also get the gymnastic element and so on, with like ribbons and hoops and so on. So those are where we're preparing the client to bring in the things that I need so I can maximize the session. And even small studio spaces, you know, can really bring big variety, big fun to the actual session itself. But at the end of the day, remember what we're usually delivering as a portrait photographer is expression. Those can either be a full-on smile, a looking away from camera, or a Mona Lisa element. So with those three kind of styles amongst the actual portraits that we're doing, combine that with full length, 3/4 length, close up, change of clothes, change of lighting. We've prepared the client for the session, but we've also given ourselves the opportunity to maximize and add the variety into the shoot itself. Then, of course, one of the essential things is to have amazing portraits in a presentation that maximize them, that shows them off, that really adds into your style. Now, that's something that you can't do today, but you can start to think about things. So we've got three main trade partners in the Experience Group. One would be Kaleidoscope Framing, where they're a bespoke framer. They'll design anything we want, we can do anything we want, and so on. So that's amazing, yes. Then we have two others, which is Sim Imaging and One Vision, and both of those have some very unique, great products that are attractive to the client to buy, and understanding what the consumer wants to buy as well. So remember, even though you're in a photographic industry that I've been involved with close to 40 years now, it doesn't mean just because a 2016 in a frame has been sold for 40, 50, 60 years means that you've got to be selling that same product as well. Understanding the consumer and understanding what they really want to actually buy into is absolutely essential. So yes, take a little bit of time this week to develop your photography. That's absolutely key. Use the industry and kind of see what it's all about and see what surrounds it as well. Look what others are doing and encourage yourself to go beyond it. So find a photograph and then go, okay, I'm going to nail that, then I'm going to develop it during the next 5 sessions. Take it influence, but don't copy it. What I mean by that is that you can't, it's very hard to be original. I can tell you that now, okay, from the whole world of creatives. And being original, excuse me, takes a little bit of luck, a little bit of work, and a hell of a lot of kind of imagination and graft at times. But take an influence from another photographer that you admire and start to actually put it into your day-to-day photography and things, really, and you should find a big difference in that. So kind of reach but don't fall. Yeah. What do I mean by that? So in other words, don't be afraid to break or shoot a bad image, but don't rely on that just for the session itself. So I need you to kind of break your sessions down into thirds. You're going to do a third, which is the one where you know you're going to make your money, yeah, and that's going to be the first kind of third of the day. That's the quickest part. Then you're going to use the next third, which is going to be a transition time, getting almost you ready and the client ready for the creative part of the shoot at the last part of the third and things ready. So that allows you to kind of really reach for ideas and try it out without having to actually break the sales room. Think about becoming an individual in your styling, in your look, in your presence of studio, premises, website, and so on. Why? Because you need to stand out away from the crowd a little bit, but we don't want to sacrifice the kind of the guaranteed sales and things really. And of course, without doubt, practice goes without saying and things really. So even though that this is the end of the 13 steps, we're starting off next week with BMAP marketing and looking at the 5 elements leading up to Christmas on that one. So just to finish off with, this is a couple shoot that I shot during one of my training sessions for the experience group years ago, and it was showing them that, you know, most photographers come across couples, I should say most portrait photographers come across couples in their time, because they're either going to do weddings or portraits, whatever it is. So I use couple as a guaranteed thing that we could change as of tomorrow. I created in advance the Pinterest board of ideas from, you know, everywhere. And what I just did was put together around about 20 images that could kind of start the influence of the shoot itself and things really. So that might be the camera angle, the crop, the pose, the animation, the expressions, the storytelling, composition ideas, lighting ideas, and so on with it. And then of course, from those ideas, I've presented those to the group. I've shown them the Pinterest board. They've all got access to it and things really. And then from there, we're just going through a recreation. And this is how I used to teach my own photographers when they work for me, it was follow what I do first, and then in the last part of your session, Debbie allows you a roll of film to do whatever you want with. Debbie was my wife, or is my wife, I should say. So again, going through the basic shot to begin with on the left-hand side, changing the lighting slightly on the right, will completely change the look and the feel. From that change of the lighting now and harmonizing the clothing to the background, we can start to actually create and animate the couple, how they fit together. I'm a big fan of dance, and many years ago, Debbie had been going on about Strictly Come Dancing all the time. And we kind of ventured into the world of dancing, old school as it were. We went for loads of lessons and we did our medals and things like that with it. But they talk about the proximity of the bodies and actually connecting, never leaving each other's waist. So in the portrait world, we can use these ideas so that we are animating and to bring an empathy and a warmth and a conversation between the two of them, without basically saying anything. So in other words, how we position them, and even just with one light photography, how we can really show the difference in the photographs to kind of maximize the variety. Now this is the whole shoot and nothing but the shoot, yes? So you get an idea from here how we're going to then edit them down to choose the best of the best photographs so we can make a difference to our photography. And so we can maximize the client. So just a simple change away from a white wall to a pop-up background, a difference in lighting, a slight different kind of styling, look and feel as far as the animation of the face, the expressions, everything from the fun to the kind of the timeless image. And you can see that, you know, these kind of photographs could look like they are celebrities in a shoot or whatever it would be, and they're kind of coming in for a magazine shoot or whatever. So as far as the session is concerned, remember, if you're truly trying to make a difference to your photography, then ensure that you offer your clients something completely different where possible and not just follow the rest.